The anniversary invitation from my best friend, Ryan, looked ordinary, but something about it felt strange. We had been friends for nearly 15 years, and our family spent countless holidays together. My wife, Emily, insisted we attend even though I wanted a quiet weekend at home. "It'll be fun," she smiled. I ignored the uneasy feeling in my chest and agreed. By evening, Ryan's house was filled with laughter, music, and relatives celebrating another year of his marriage. Everyone appeared genuinely happy, but I noticed several people exchanging strange glances whenever Emily walked into the room. I convinced myself I was imagining things, unaware that this night would change my life forever. As the celebration grew louder, someone suggested a ridiculous party game involving couples swapping seats to make everyone laugh. People cheered. Phones came out, and music blasted through the speakers. During confusion, my wife ended up sitting comfortably beside Ryan with his arm resting around her shoulders, while Ryan's wife, Sarah, jokingly sat beside me. Everyone burst into laughter, treating it like harmless entertainment. Cameras flashed, and guests encouraged us to smile. I forced a grin despite the knot growing inside my stomach. What bothered me wasn't the joke itself. It was how natural Emily and Ryan looked together, as if they practiced that moment before. The game ended, but something felt off. Emily quickly stepped away from me whenever I approached, while Ryan constantly found excuses to speak with her in private. Every time I looked in their direction, their conversation stopped instantly. Sarah seemed unusually nervous too, avoiding eye contact whenever our paths crossed. I tried convincing myself that I was simply overthinking an awkward situation, yet every instinct warned me something bigger was hidden beneath the cheerful atmosphere. By the time dinner was served, I had completely lost my appetite, even though everyone else continued laughing as if nothing unusual had happened. While helping Ryan carry extra drinks in the garage, I accidentally overheard two guests whispering behind the back door. One quietly asked, "Do you think he'll finally figure out tonight?" The other answered, "He has no idea. They've hidden it for months." My heartbeat instantly doubled. Before I could hear another word, they noticed me and awkwardly changed the subject. When I returned inside, I couldn't stop replaying those words in my mind. Were they talking about me? Or was it unrelated? Every smile around me suddenly felt fake, and every friendly conversation sounded rehearsed. Determined to calm myself, I stepped outside for fresh air. As I walked around the side of the house, I noticed Emily standing near the garden with Ryan. They weren't touching, but they were speaking in hushed voices. When Emily noticed me approaching, she immediately stepped back while Ryan laughed louder than necessary and pretended they had been discussing decorations. Emily smiled nervously and asked if everything was okay. I simply nodded, hiding my growing suspicion. Deep down, I knew people only acted that strangely when they were desperately trying to protect an important secret, and I intended to discover exactly what was. The party continued late into the evening until fireworks lit the backyard. While everyone watched the sky, Ryan accidentally left his phone on the patio table. A notification appeared on the screen. I had no intention of invading anyone's privacy, but one message preview instantly caught my attention. It read, "Tonight has to be the night before he finds out himself." Before I could read anything else, Ryan hurried over, grabbed the phone, and forced an uncomfortable smile. Our eyes met for only a second, but that second told me everything. Whatever secret existed, I had unknowingly become the last person to learn it. The moment Ryan slipped his phone into his pocket, I realized the truth would never come from casual questions. I decided to stay calm and watch instead of accusing anyone without proof. Throughout the evening, I noticed small details that suddenly seemed important. Emily checking the time every few minutes, Sarah looking anxious whenever our eyes met, and Ryan disappearing into another room to answer calls. The celebration was ending, but my suspicion was only beginning. I quietly memorized everything, knowing that one careless mistake from any of them could expose the secret they had worked so hard to hide. As guests slowly began leaving, I pretended to search for my car keys and remained inside the house a little longer. From the hallway, I overheard Ryan telling Emily, "We can't delay it anymore. He deserves to know." Emily answered softly, "I'm afraid he'll never forgive us." My heart pounded. I expected to hear a confession of betrayal, But instead they spoke about paperwork, signatures, and promises made months earlier. Before I could hear another sentence, footsteps approached, forcing me to hide until the conversation ended and they walked away in opposite directions. The next morning I drove to Ryan's office without telling Emily. I wanted answers directly from a man I had trusted like a brother. Ryan looked surprised but didn't try to avoid me. Before I could accuse him, he placed a thick envelope on the desk. "Open it," he said quietly. Inside were legal documents, bank statements, and letters written by my late father years before his passing. My hands shook as I read page after page. None of it mentioned an affair. Instead, it revealed a secret my father had protected for nearly a decade. According to the documents, my father and Ryan's father had jointly invested in land that had unexpectedly become extremely valuable. My father wanted me to inherit everything, but legal complications prevented the transfer until several conditions were met. Ryan had spent months working with lawyers to secure the inheritance without attracting dishonest relatives who had already begun searching for money. Emily had known because she accidentally discovered the paperwork and agreed to help keep the surprise until everything became legally protected. Their secrecy had looked suspicious, but its purpose was completely different from what I had imagined. Embarrassed by my assumptions, I returned home carrying the envelope. Emily immediately knew I had learned the truth from the expression on my face. She admitted they should have trusted me sooner, instead of creating mysterious situations that only fueled suspicion. We talked honestly for hours, clearing away misunderstandings that had nearly destroyed years of friendship and marriage. Ryan and Sarah later joined us, apologizing for the awkward party game that unintentionally made everything appear even worse. Looking back, I realized that silence and secrets often create fears much larger than reality itself. A week later we gathered again, this time without games, hidden conversations, or unanswered questions. Ryan handed me the final legal documents, and the inheritance officially became mine. More important than the money, however, was the lesson I had learned. Trust is built through honesty, not assumptions. One confusing evening had almost cost me my closest friend and the woman I loved because I allowed suspicion to speak louder than communication. As we shared dinner together, I silently promised myself that I would always seek the truth before believing the worst. Whenever I remember that anniversary party, I no longer think about the awkward seating arrangement that shocked everyone. I remember how easily appearances can deceive and how dangerous unchecked suspicion can become. The strange glances, whispered conversations, and mysterious messages all seemed to point toward betrayal. Yet the real story was entirely different. Sometimes the greatest twist isn't discovering that someone lied. It is discovering that your own fears created a false story in your mind. That night changed me forever, reminding me that truth is always stronger than assumptions.